78 years ago today, we was on our way to Colorado. And last night, we slept in a wheat field on a blanket. Mom had, of course, in those old cars, you always had a blanket. And so the car died on the highway just out of Coffeyville. Well, we wasn't quite to Coffeyville yet. And but we couldn't get it started, and it was late, and so Mom just laid a blanket down in the wheat field there beside the road, and put the kids. David was about 2 or 3, and then the others were just stair-stepped on up, and then they went to sleep, and Mom and Dad was laying down, nothing else that they could do, and a car stopped out there, and a policeman walked up to where Dad went out to meet him, see what he wanted, and he said, "There's so much traffic on the road today. This is Memorial weekend," and now I thought it was, but it was the 1st of June, so it's still part of the Memorial weekend, and you need to get the car off of the road. Wasn't much of a shoulder, and so he said, "I'll push you down. We'll go down and see if that farmer will let us park it in his lot." And he was down about half a mile down the road, and so him and Dad went down and talked to the farmer, and the farmer let it, sure, park it in his driveway. So the cop pushed him down to the lot, and they went in there, and we went to bed, went to sleep, didn't know what was good. I figured we'd have to go home, because it's hard if we'd ever get it to run, because it wouldn't run good enough to go to Colorado. But anyway, we got up the next morning, and Dad walked down to the car where the car was at, and the farmer was out there, and so the farmer said, "Well, I'll give you a push, maybe it'll start with a push." And so he got his tractor, and he pushed him, and it started. And so we all got in the car, and they stopped at little cafe there in Coffeyville, and to eat breakfast, and Dad turned it off. Mom said, "Oh, you shouldn't have turned it off. We won't get it started now." And he says, "It'll be all right." And so we ate breakfast, got back out in the car, started right up. We drove all the way to Denver, and stayed at Uncle Hobart's. And Galen come home from on the leave, his last leave, and he had 1 week off, and that included travel time, so he didn't have more than about 4 days there with us. So we wanted to be there when he got there, and so we stayed at Uncle Hobart's and started the car. Anytime we had to start it, of course, I guess we did much driving there. And Galen then, after 4 days, he went back, got on the train. We took him to the train, and he took the train back to San Diego. That was the last time we ever seen him. And
unbelievable.
We come home. Uncle Hobart told Dad, says, "That car will never make it home." That sounds terrible. And said, "You better just stay here and get you a job here and stay." And Dad says, "Oh," says, "it'll make it." And so we went home. Every time we had to turn the motor off, we did. And got back home, turned in the driveway, just got through the gate, and it died. Never started again. Never got started. It was just through the gate.
Well, it got you home.
Now, Dad knew before we started up there that was going to make the trip.
Yeah.
And that car was not going to make any further than it got him back home. And that's where it was, that's all it was going to do. But it did that. And that was a miracle.
Yeah. It was.
So,
I wish I had some money to bet on it.
but anyway, never give us any, started every time that we needed it to on the trip.
Yeah.
And so, but Dad knew it was going to get us there. He had faith that it was going to get us there. He had faith that that car was going to get us there and back. And it did. Faith will move mountains. Faith will keep an old car running.
Yeah.
And, anyway, that was 78 years ago today.
Wow. Long